You know, I never thought I'd ever have to say this at the beginning of a video, but I'm just gonna throw it out there as fair warning. Grezzo is infamously meant to be as offensive as possible, so just keep that in mind going forward here. Anyways, it's finally here. Grezzo 2? I don't know any Italian, but I'm pretty sure do already meant... Yeah, it is. So I'm so confused already.
Huh?
The Doom scene is a special place, and well, I only mildly mean that in a demeaning way. There is a seemingly higher percentage of edgy dudes making mods and map packs for Doom than any other games. Look, I'm not trying to judge the people themselves here, and I'm the last person you'll ever see trying to gatekeep something, but there's been some really weird and offensive stuff released for Doom over the years. I'm a big free speech guy, so you know, you do you, I guess. I mean, stuff like Moon Man was just remarkable levels of degeneracy, like absurd to the point of just being kind of comical, really. Like, I know it got to 4chan levels of racism, but like, I don't know, man, it's still just a silly wad. Sure, it might be beyond me how some people can actually come up with that kind of stuff. I'm not actually up in arms about it. I heard there was actually a sequel to it. I only know this because YouTube keeps recommending me Midnight's clickbaity videos. So tired. Anyways, Grezzo was always one of those infamous Doom wads, again mostly due to the absolutely bizarre nature of the content. It stole sprites from almost every other retro shooter imaginable, and it was just a cacophony of absurdity. Stuff like it really highlights both how amazing and truly off the rails the Doom community can be. Always really like the Pope nuke thing, you know, truly epic design there. Now, there's a big cultural barrier here because the majority of the themes here are based around Italian pop culture. I honestly don't even remember if there was an English translation at all, but one of the obvious memes here was the outright blasphemy, with the Catholic Church and the Pope being major themes. So, around a couple years ago, there was a Kickstarter that launched to help get a sequel for Grezzo 2 off the ground, which several years ago might have seemed a little weird to have been asking money for a Doom wad, but I mean, like, there's a lot of effort that goes into this stuff, so, you know, why not? Especially with the advent of fully fledged GZ Doom-based games, you know, just get those bags, boys. Alright, I feel like I'm stalling here, so let's get this started. It's time for Grezzo 2. Hey!
2 shots of vodka.
Funnily enough, the opening levels for Grezzo 2 are by far and away the least unhinged of the whole game. And well, we're already pretty far gone here. Like, there's layers of memery here I just can't even comprehend. Some standouts right away were the dolphin police drones and a dog tank that shoots dogs. You also appear to be playing as Fabio, which is about the only Italian stereotype that I know besides, you know, red wine and Ferraris.
You can't park that there, mate.
Fuck off!
There's these pig cops that are reduced to just regular pigs, as if you're shooting the head crab off a zombie in Half-Life. Pretty clever idea, to be honest. Sad Keanu even makes an appearance, though I didn't have the guts to see what happens when you try to shoot him. There's just a lot going on right away here, and well, most of the people here are non-aggro towards you, at least until you start shooting them. So in my mind, there's probably a pacifist way to get through Grezzo 2, but that's not really what we're here for, right? You know, everyone needs to die. I'm not taking sides here. The soundtrack here is a certified banger. Just tons of great tunes here. Not sure if any of this is DMCA worthy, but I don't think the dudes that made this really care. Like, just reading the README file, they warn that if you find any bugs, that they're basically just features because they didn't do enough QA testing because, well, they do drugs. Okay. Oh yeah, ammo is the least of your worries. I don't think I ever ran out. There's still some of the racial stereotypes here, like the machete-wielding dudes, but this game leans heavily, and I mean heavily, into the blasphemous stuff. Tons of Pope references, lots of religious stuff in general. I'm not a religious guy at all, so I just think this is funny, though I'm sure some hardline Catholics would be losing their mind over it. There's a lot of gay pride references here, particularly in relation to the church, so I don't know if this is them taking issue with the Catholic Church being more welcoming to it, or making fun of them for it, or maybe both. Like I said, there's a major language barrier here for me. Who knows? Maybe there'll be like an English translation at some point, and it turns out that me playing and make a video about this was like a hate crime, and I just put myself on a list.
FBI, open up!
There were a few points. There were a few points with major difficulty spikes, like this part where all these army dudes come after you in the streets of this town. I eventually just ended up running through this one like a little bitch. You then take off in a space shuttle. Did Italy have a space shuttle? Or am I even in Italy anymore? I honestly have no clue. This space section is where stuff truly becomes unhinged. This whole thing turns into a hilarious fever dream at this point. It just feels like the whole thing just keeps escalating to more and more levels of ridiculousness. Eventually you get to fly the space shuttle around as you escape from the space station, well, because of course you do. By this point, your arsenal is becoming quite formidable. This is a continued theme from the original Grezzo do, with a lot of weapons becoming, well, redundant. There's several types of pistols and shotguns because, well, why not? I mean, I got the Spaz 12 pretty early on, and that thing will fire an unlimited number of shells without reloading about as fast as you can press mouse 1. So half the time you don't even really need to use anything else. Some notable standouts were the return of the Pope nuke, which is just a total vibe. This knife launcher thing had some crazy DPS, really came in handy for boss fights. And this 12-barrel shotgun was pretty devastating. Big fan of that thing. Grezzo Do 2 was, well, it was an experience. This is something that I may never truly understand, even if it was completely translated to English. However, anyone who's played Doom mods over the years will know of or heard of Grezzo Do at some point. Despite the fact that it gets touted as overly offensive, it often just comes off as, you know, silly. I'm sure there's some people who would get offended by this stuff, but I seriously have my doubts that they're playing Doom mods in the first place. This game primarily finds itself in a niche occupied by games like Postal or Hatred, which makes me wonder who would win in a fight, Postal Dude, Fabio, or Hatred Dude? Or would they just be like instant bros and go for beers instead? Even if you've never played it, like I said, you've definitely heard of Grezzo Do at some point, and whether people like it or not, it has firmly planted itself in its own little niche part of the rich history of Doom. Grezzo Do 2 was honestly just kind of impressive with the amount of work that went into like the texture work and the sprite work. Some of the levels, like this train level, were truly memorable, and despite its awful gaudy appearance at times, you could truly tell that a lot of love and attention went into crafting this whole thing. It was an absolute roller coaster of a fever dream. Everything about this wild ride just kept escalating right up to the final boss fight. While I may truly never know or understand what I just played, I just hope I'm not going to end up like on a hate speech list for making a video about this. Just remember to not take life too seriously, people. You'll live longer and be happier. Thanks for watching.